Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Schmoedown 9 in Canada. I'm your friendly neighborhood soda, and joined by the people who've been holding down the fort for us the last few weeks. Ben Rayner, Ryan Payne from Mount Schmoedown. How are you guys doing?
Doing very good. I'm actually surprised I'm back here after the last Schmoedown 9 Canada Ben and I were doing together. Was not sure if the people would want to see me return. So at this point in this little press junket, I just asked for no questions, please.
I gotta ask because I wasn't able to watch last episode. What happened?
Oh, nothing really big, honestly. It's just like we were just discussing the spectacular, and I think when we got to the whole Kevin Smith thing, I just went on a slight little like tangent slash observation I had regarding Smith's challenges, and also, I mean, look, I wasn't trying to grill people or so. It was just like it was emotional response from the live chat because I was watching the spectacular in the live chat and seeing everybody lose their crap over Smith's antics. And I was just, people, come on.
It's a show, folks.
Yeah, that's what I was, and that's all I was doing. I understood if people did not like my opinion. I'm like, yeah, okay, no problem. But at the end of the day, if you think if everyone's response to that match was Kevin Smith was just being a jokester or he wasn't taken seriously, my answer is you're half right and you're half wrong because he was taken seriously. I mean, that Kate Blanchett question, you think his challenge, you think he wasn't taking it seriously? And then afterwards, he just started joking.
He was, but the challenge was dumb to begin with.
Obviously, yeah. But other than that, other than my emotional response, I did bring in some good some subjective criticism that Coy as a manager should not have backed his player and just advised him not to do it. But that's, like I said, I was just expressing my opinion and then I let it all out on the table. That was it. So this was just more of this was just more of kind of like a funny irony joke. Like, oh, if I'm not back here next week, guys, then you know why I'm not back here.
Well, then we'll try to keep the questions to a minimum because there are a lot of matches this week. And it sounds like we will be having a discussion during one of them based on what I had heard in the room beforehand. So let's start right off the bat. We had the first match of this was for the Inner Geekdom tournament, correct?
Yes. Swift versus Parker.
Robert Parker versus Jesse Swift, and making his debut on the desk, PJ Campbell, who I think did a good job. And it's also a plus to have the question writer on the desk too.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen PJ a couple times for a few matches, but this was like officially he was going to be on the desk. He was always like just there for backup sense purposes if no one was available. Yeah. But in that match, he's officially becoming a member of the desk. So I think that's good. I think it shows Christian and Mark are definitely getting back into what I loved of the studio was they would switch out, bring different people on the desk and different opinions, different personalities gelling together. And I admit, PJ there, it makes him a lot more real to some of the fans who are like, who's this PJ Campbell guy? Is this just some kind of specter or figure that they just like to throw out there like an urban legend? No, he's real.
Yeah, at this point, I think he is less of an urban legend because, I mean, he is, all over the place with the PJ Campbell network and all that stuff. But a thought just popped in my head to kind of play into the bringing in the other commentator stuff. It's a great way to if you have to keep doing digital matches, bring in those guest commentators because we know that PJ is not in California. So I think he would be a great candidate to do the online matches that they had to do them going forward.
Yeah.
And Ken. And because he also doesn't live in LA, Brad Gilmore.
Yeah.
Like it'd be the easiest way to get them in and also relieve the pressure off of Harloff. So I think it's great. And yeah, this was a good match from both folks. What were your guys' thoughts? We'll start with Ben. What were your thoughts on the match?
It was a great match. I just love Kaiser managing anybody. And he was bringing everything up so beautifully. It was great. And Parker Shona, he's here. Little Parker we've been waiting to see for a while now. And, man, he's good.
Completely. What about you, Ryan? What were your thoughts with this match?
Oh, there's never been a doubt in my mind that Parker was as good as he is. I mean, seeing how last season, despite his loss against Chance, Parker came in there to prove a point, and just like this season, he wanted to start that revenge tour by gaining his revenge on Chance, but then coming up short on Chandru. And you could tell with Parker, I mean, he is definitely a deadly player, but like every good Aaron Geekdom player, there's still some gaps in his knowledge that he has to that he has strength that he needs to strengthen on. I mean, this time with Sweep, though, it wasn't more like he just missed one or two questions to determine where the match was going to go. This was just Parker realizing he needs to be strategic going in. And honestly, there's no question in my mind it was Parker's game, but to me, it was all about Jesse's performance. I mean, from his last two matches, he has been improving. And in this one, we did see that his round one has stepped up big time.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
He stepped up on his round one. He's not. It wasn't like his match against Amaru. It definitely wasn't like his match against Jacob. He stepped up big time to show that he may not be getting those decisive victories that everyone's paying attention to on record-wise, but if you really look at his progression, you look at his gameplay, he's getting better. So by next season, trust me when I tell you, Jesse will be someone ready and willing to go. And he's definitely someone who did not sit on his laurels and go, maybe next time the question will be more benefit to me. No, he realized after not doing well playing the Apes against Jacob, questions were not going to be on his side. So he had to really take the attack. He had to take the approach. He had to attack. And it didn't work out well for him in round two, but at least he was able to get to round three, though.
Yeah, his three matches so far this year, it's kind of reminded me of Janine earlier in her career. She won one, and then she kind of every match was getting better and better and better. I just hope Jesse doesn't take as long to get there as Janine did, but you can definitely tell, like you said, his gameplay has proved every single match where he could have potentially taken this if one or two questions had gone his way.
But Ben, but what about you? I mean, your thoughts on Jesse's performance here? I mean, of course, we could, even though this match ended in TKO, unfortunately for Jesse, but still, he was able to really keep himself up. Really keep the like I was thinking, he was really staying within that pocket very well, to where Robert wasn't going to get that KO. But Ben, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, excuse me. Yeah, I mean, I'm echoing everything you guys said. His round two was great. It's too bad he got a TKO, but he shows some promise, and I can't wait to see what he does in the future.
Agreed. So is there anything specifically you guys want to highlight from this match? Because, yes, it was a really great played match from both ends, but overall, it wasn't...
It was really straightforward.
It was a straightforward match, yeah.
It was. Although I would say I did like the little thread they were going with if Kaiser was going to be in Parker's corner, because Kaiser like Dagnino, they've been busy. So I was loving seeing the different faction members step up and be adding managers. Like Ty Lieberman was in Barbarian's corner against McWeenie, and Witt has been in some of the corners of the Denver members. So I like the fact that
we'll be talking about him later for sure.
Yeah.
There is one thing I want to bring up about Kaiser. I love the bit of he didn't know which manager, which faction Swift belonged to.
It's true. It does play very much into Kaiser's character.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Dagnino was indeed sleeping on the couch behind him.
Then when he went off about Sam, I legit think he legit thought Sam was Swift's manager.
Yeah, well, that just shows how good of a character Kaiser is, because he has you believing. Of course, you knew it was coy the whole time, but no, he's that good on the mic.
Yeah. I guess one thing I do want to worry. I think one query I do have now. Now that Jesse's season it's over, unfortunately. He's done. He's not going to be playing any other matches. I'm curious for next season, and I'm just pondering this out there, and to anyone else in the chat, you can ponder this too. If by chance Koi does not pick him up again next season, which manager do you think would benefit Jesse?
I can see him working on that 10.
Kate has a great working relationship. She does great chemistry bouncing off of her with her players. And from what I can tell with IG, it has not been a realm outside of Saul, not much of a realm where she has really had standout players. So maybe Jesse.
Yeah, I'm going to say that Ted, because I was going to say what about Roxy, but she
No.
has Brandon Hannon.
I would see him actually myself probably faring better on the suspects. I think
Yeah.
Sam is the right manager for him. You do get that coy energy, but you also get like the super serious, the strategic, knows his shit, right? Yeah, Ryan just popped in the chat, agrees with me. Usual suspects. I think that is the place for him to go.
I would say that too, but that would be a big if though, because I mean I won't say that he wouldn't hesitate picking up Jesse again, but with Amaru there, I mean Amaru is really I shouldn't say Sam should put all his eggs in one basket with Amaru.
Mm-hmm.
I mean it's always good to have it's always good to have more players in one division. That way, if let's say Amaru is not available next season, he already knows exactly who he has lined up for him. And Jesse, having going up to that one-on-one against Amaru, we do see that there are some things that he's knowledgeable in that Amaru was weak at. And we did see this in this match that he is definitely willing to improve himself. I guess. Yeah, go ahead, Ben. Go for it.
I'm sorry. I have a question for both of you guys. If you're building a faction, how many players of each division do you want? 2 or 3?
I would do 3 of each personally, and then mix and match for the teams from there.
Same here. Yeah,
Okay.
2 or 3 minimum, and it's always a bonus to see if you can pick a player who can play in more than one division.
Mm-hmm.
That way, when you do your study sessions, or if you want to strategize with your player and ask them, let's say for example with Janine, as you brought up, Janine, let's say she wants to focus more on teams and singles, but she still has that interest to play in IG. We can always have her be one of our go-getters in singles. And then maybe when we have someone in IG, let's say if we take Jacob Whitman or we have Mark Haas, and all of a sudden both of them are unavailable to play for the Inner Kingdom tournament, Janine is right there, ready to step up.
Yeah, that's a good strategy to use going into building a faction. Is you don't want to have like a 1 player per division sort of thing. It's good to have that mix and match because, as Brian just said, if someone can't do it, you've got someone just as capable to go in. Is a perfect example of this again with Janine was when she filled in for Mark and Draco in that title match.
Yeah, and we saw exactly how well she did.
Yeah,
she did a great job.
Yeah,
and if I was good enough faction, I would do everything you guys said. I would also make a multi-division player. I would also make them a captain of the team because
for sure
they could help out.
Well, it would also depend on which multi-division player you would pick as well, because when it comes to that, like I would go with a veteran multi-division player personally, because that's where you need the leadership from. And to go back to Jesse Swift, but possibly going to the suspects, there is one additional bonus that none of us brought up, and that is the tutelage of Rachel Cushing as well, if you were to go into the suspects. And I do think Jesse would benefit greatly from that.
Does she have a hands-on approach this season?
I know a little bit, and I know she has. I from what I've heard, she's had conversations, like not exactly like been there for training, but more as a, like hey, can I ask a question? Like bounce an idea.
Consigliere in a way. She's kind of like a consigliere, or like
exactly,
or like a trusted advisor in a way. Yeah, she's not going to be on screen though, but you know or you have a gut feeling that she is there, really providing like some strategy, on how to play the game. I mean, bringing back since we're talking about the suspects, seen with Amaru on his progression, just like with Jesse, we saw his progression from his first match against Jesse. Admitted that wasn't his best. In his match against Moose Haas, you saw how he improved in that round 1, going perfect. And then, of course, struggling a little bit in sci-fi fantasy, but then he's able to close in round 3. And then we see in his match against Sauce at the Collision, he may not have gotten perfect round, but he got that 2-point lead above past Saul. He dominated in round 2, which got him that TKO. So we do see that with someone like Rachel as your advisor or consigliere, she's able to really get you to focus, really like that extra angel on your shoulder, really giving you that edge.
100%. And plus, she is also a master of the inner geekdom division too. So that is like a major plus in that sense.
Well, I do agree. And then also now that the inner geekdom has changed a little bit, at least we know with Rachel, she's able to help you in certain areas of the old inner geekdom where you can dominate. But when it comes to new inner geekdom, I don't know how she would do with Planet of the Apes, dystopian time travel, fantasy sci-fi, animated involved in there. I'm pretty sure she would do the same as she did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it wouldn't change her game a little bit. I mean,
but also she did make it to a title match in the singles division. So I mean, I don't think questions like that would necessarily face her because they were probably part of the studying for that time as well. So it's kind of half a dozen of one, 6 of the other sort of thing, right?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, so let's hop into the second match because I get a feeling we're gonna have a lot more to talk down the line. So the second match of the week was the first match of. Is this the Ultimate Schmoedown tournament or is this just another singles tournament?
I think it was just a regular singles match because Paige and
no, this was in a tournament.
Mm.
No, it's for the Ultimate Schmoedown. The thumbnail has the Ultimate Schmoedown.
Okay.
Logo. So this is the first match in the Ultimate Schmoedown singles tournament that we had this week. It was legend of the game, William the Beast Bibiani versus a young
Bibiani and Jacob. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Bibiani versus a young and upcomer this year, Jacob Blunden, who did something that prior to the season only Bibiani had ever done, that was clear a table during the free-for-all. So this was an interesting match, the old guard, new guard sort of thing. What were you guys' thoughts going into this?
I loved how in that promo Jacob's really building his, I love how like anyone in Jacob's position would have said, yeah, I was a part of that. I was the one that cleared the table that had Bibiani in there. And then that promo, I loved how Bib's Rip Turtle was. I love how Jacob's eliminated table was much better than mine, which had Dan Murrell, Adam Collins on there. I love how Bibbs, he's taken it seriously, but at the same time, still making a joke about it. We're like, oh yeah, he cleared me, the guy who went from number 1 to win the the guy who went from number 1 to win the free for all, who cleared the table. And then it's just more of like, and then I'm sitting there like, is everyone immediately forgetting Mark Andreyko all of a sudden? And Sam Levine, because they've cleared the table too.
That's true. I forgot Sam cleared the table. I had forgotten about that because his win was, I don't know, it was because it was against Dagnino. I guess it's a little more easily forgettable.
But even then, him clearing the table secured him a one with Dagnino to win the free-for-all, becoming the first free-for-all winner. I'm not trying to do this to be like, haha, I know more, because trust me, if Ben knows in our Mount Schmoedown sessions, I forget so much shit when I'm trying to talk about a player's career, especially on matches. So it's just kind of funny how this certain moment, and this is not to take away from anybody out there. This is just more of the Regency bias that's with the Schmoedown in this community. We focus more on what recently happened, honestly. I mean,
well, in a way, yeah, and that happens in everything because there's a lot of things that are happening now, like highest scoring matches, 2 table cleared in the tournament, and of course a lot of other things going on. So it is easy to forget when you're caught in the throes of the moment. When of course you're able to take a breather, you're able to remember that. But because what Bibbs did in that first free for all easily overshadows what Sam did for me, anyways.
Sam and Andreyko, though. I mean, even though Andreyko's moment,
Andreyko, not Bibbs.
Oh yeah, but even then, I'm just saying, like, even then, those moments they'll still be highlighted over and over in footage packages. And then sometimes, if you really are a good fan or a good historian of the Schmoedown, which I mean, come on, 8 seasons at this point, you need to know the history of the Schmoedown, to where these tiny little nuggets that you forget is that you didn't realize or has slipped through your brain, they tend to really be underutilized, not underutilized, but I'll say overlooked moments to where, this should be here, not as equal to, let's say, XX5XX, but Sam clearing that table is still a great feat.
Yeah, but okay, let's throw it to the actual sports. That happens in sports too.
True.
Like something big happens currently, of course you're going to forget something that happened in the past. Doesn't diminish its power or impact.
It makes a lot of sense. Like, best example of sports with baseball, I remember during the early 2000s, everyone was obsessed with the home run records. It was like, whoever broke the records. Yeah,
That's when I
whoever
started watching baseball was the McGuire-Sosa home run thing. And then within a couple of years, Barry Bonds going for it. And everyone was talking about Barry Bonds.
Exactly. And even then, during the time of Sosa and McGuire, you tend to overlook other people who you tend to overlook the fact. Huh? Yeah.
There were other people going for that record. Is after a while, Sosa, McGuire started,
they were like really, they stretched that lead there. But even
Ken
then,
Griffey was involved in that race at one point.
Ken Griffey. I know later on during when Bonds was chasing, I know Albert Pujols, he started getting into that conversation. But I'm just saying that the execution of a home run back then, that was a very rare feat to accomplish. And seeing someone do a home run, it made you excited. So when the whole obsession of the record, the home run itself started to become a little common, to where nowadays, like after Bonds had broken it, even if you saw somebody like a catcher or even a pitcher pull off a home run, you're like, yeah, they did a home run. Great, fantastic. I mean, it's nothing to diminish what they did, but it's because it was so commonplace at the time, you tend to overlook it. And that's my comparison with Sam Levine doing that.
Perfect metaphor for this, the slam dunk.
Oh, yes.
Because think about it, when the slam dunk was introduced in the 1970s by Dr. J and all them, and I'm not sure, probably a bit earlier. Who knows? I don't know necessarily my basketball history there, but it blew everyone's mind because nobody was doing it. Now everybody does dunks. I can do a dunk if the net's low enough. Like
same here.
It's because it happens so often. Like you said with the home runs, it loses its luster, but it doesn't take anything away from the feats. Like Vince Carter, like dear God, the guy was a Superman.
The man who was able to stick half of his arm into a net while dunking. Yeah. And Ben, are we losing you here?
No, I can say something, but I'm not going to. But I can say something.
Well, I think we may be losing our chat.
Open floor.
Yeah, we may be losing our chat, but you know what, Ben? You know what? If you want to say something, go for it, man. Don't let Minnesota dominate here.
No, I'm not going to.
But I got to bring this comment up. Please don't tell me Bibbs is on PEDs.
I mean, standing. Let's be honest. When you stand, and the longer you stand, adrenaline and goes. Your blood rushes more toward your body to keep your muscles going. So in a way, it's a natural PED.
Endorphins.
Endorphins are a natural PED, but no. I guess what I'm trying to say with my little metaphor I was trying to bring up here and I'm not trying to discredit Jacob Hunter for what he did. What he did was amazing. He cleared out a good table that he had on there that had Bibbs, Jacoby, Jen Kemp, and Griffey Noobs. It was just that the promo itself, trying to hype up Jacob doing that against Bibbs, yes, it's a great storyline idea, and I'm discrediting nothing to it. I would have done the same thing. I guess for me, in a direction setting, I would have tried to make it not all of what Jacob was, boasting about in his promo.
But can we be honest here? Can we be honest and say this is Bibbs' match to lose?
Of course.
True. You have a point.
I mean, spoiler, he won, but did anybody think he was going to get kicked out in the first round?
No, but towards the end, though, I saw the possibility more of there's a chance Jacob could pull this off.
Okay,
I was 50-50, honestly. I thought Bibbs could win this and Jacob could win this because I've seen Bibbs last year. I mean, he did very well in the first round, and then he ends up losing to Liz Shannon in the second round. But even then, it was kind of like Bibbs. We see him in singles. Like, there are times where he's just on fire, and then there are moments to where, because of the extensive movie knowledge he has, it clouds his judgment to where he'll miss a question. And so, taking all that into account, like I said, it was 50-50.
I think this year, Bibbs he always had his love of the game. It always stayed with him. But now I think it just multiplied and he's having fun again. You can tell.
And I want that's actually brings in something I want to highlight. I like how Bibbs circumvented the keep your hands visible at all times when he put on the little finger puppets and was playing with them in the background. It kind of took me away from the match a little bit.
I love that moment too because I'm looking at my phone and I'm just going, wait, where's his other hand? It's like, oh, he just brought out a puppet. There's no doubt that he has his hands on the screen. I like how Bibbs.
Would you think about it? It's a very Bibbs thing to do.
Yes. And I love how he's still keeping the Dutch angle, even though Christian has joked at times like, "Oh my God, can you not do that?"
I personally like it as well because it's different, right? If Bibbs can't do his entrance, let him have that.
Yes. I mean, as long as he doesn't do a surprise guy entrance as long as there's no Andrew Guy to do a surprise entrance at free for all, give Bibbs all the awards for entrances.
Oh, 100%.
I have to say though, in the last team match, with Shazam, the title match,
Yeah.
I'm really kind of I'm not that, but I kind of wanted a bigger entrance from him.
I did too, but then I realized, well, because it was the first one out of the gate, I think they didn't want to go overboard right off the bat.
Yeah.
So maybe they're going to be holding it for a little later, which I'm perfectly okay with because it would. Don't get me wrong, it would have been awesome to see them do an entrance like that in the Scum and Villain Cantina. But I mean, yeah, I can understand. Let's just hold off on this a little bit.
Agreed.
Maybe we're having a little bit more spectacular.
Oh, for sure.
I'm expecting that too. If it's a spectacular, will be a live event. I'm definitely looking forward to that. And also, I agree with Soda.
Either spectacular or the Ultimate Schmoedown's teams finals. One of the two.
They're the champs.
Depending what.
Never mind.
What? What did
I
you
had
think?
forgot that they were the champs.
But what I wanted to say was that I do agree with Soda that I agree with both of you. I would love to see Shazam make a great grand entrance, but because this was their first time in Scum and Villainy, and at the same time, Christian wants to, he's testing this out with the live events, and it made sense that their entrance, even though it was still confetti, I do appreciate the fact that yes, we're not going all out, but we're still showing you that in this live setting, we still have the passion. We still want to have fun and entertain you.
Yes.
And also, Scum and Villainy. The owner of Scum and Villainy is currently a Star Wars champion in the FCL. Last thing you want to do is miss him. JC Reifenberg? Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that explains why they're there. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that he was the owner.
I mean, he played in, and maybe I'll be corrected, but I know when he played his first match for Star Wars in the FCL, they were saying he's the owner of the Scum and Villainy. I could be very wrong.
I watched FCL because I don't have this thing called time. So I did not know that. But again, that explains.
Well, the matches are on YouTube though, so you can almost have that play in the background.
Still, dude, I had to watch all 4 matches right before we did this because that's how little time I have.
Okay. Enough said.
Yeah, I do want to bring this up because we were currently talking about the Schmoedown tournament. Ryan brings up. I agree. I love the fact that we don't know the brackets in the singles tournament, so matches going forward are going to be surprises and make us fans go, "Wow, that match will be awesome."
I agree with that because Christian's already shared us the brackets for IG and the potential too for Star Wars. So every fan's already giving their predictions on who they think will win. I mean, until we get Harper and Demolanta happening, right now everyone's already posting with IG. I like how singles is being a surprise. That way, like last year, it's not like managers need to rush and hurry. Oh, which 4 we're going to put in the tournament? Who we're going to put in the tournament? It's more of who they want to play. Here's the matchup. Guess what? It's for the Ultimate Schmoedown singles tournament. Like, wait, what?
And you know what? I want to hop into the next match because I know Ben has something he wants to talk about, and that is the second singles Ultimate Schmoedown tournament match.
I should say we should at least give our impressions of the match itself because.
I guess so. Yeah, my bad.
No, I understand. I do want to talk about Paige and Jader as well, but we can't overlook the performances that Bibbs and Blunden did in this match.
No, it was a good back and forth match. But Blunden definitely held his own in a singles match against Bibb. Like I could see him in maybe a rematch beating him. To be honest.
Yeah, you know what? Blunden had a perfect first round, and Bibbs did it.
Yeah.
I mean, Bibbs just slipped up on one of his questions, which he ended up going 50-50 on. Same with Blunden, too. I mean, both of them were going back and forth on 2 people. Blunden just happened to get the right one, and Bibbs didn't. So you do see that. That's why I bring my comment of Bibbs' extensive knowledge sometimes can be a detriment to him because of how many films he's watching and reviewing and critiquing.
Yeah, because at some point, people do start to blend together.
Blunden knew London knew his young adult at Rams. Knew Kevin Hart. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I went 4 for 4 and 3 for 4 into Kevin Hart one.
Yeah, I'll be honest though. I mean, I understand him wanting to spin away the first time because let's be honest, there's a lot more slices that definitely could have benefited him. But yeah, young adult was just, well, this is what we're stuck with. So let's see how we do. And yeah, when he had that miss for the Twilight question, I'm going, Twilight, really? Yeah. Twilight is going to cost Jacob a match. And then, of course, yeah, the month that they get married. Why would that be thrown in here? Why would
it's, you know what? It is fair game.
I know. This is just me for like.
That's a 5-pointer for me. That's what a 5-pointer would be.
I forget the answer, and I'm just thinking a while.
The question was, what month did Bella and Edward get married? Yeah. Jacob said September. The correct answer was August, which Bibbs said.
Oh, I would have been wrong. I would have said October.
I would have thought May because I remember reading the books that Bella immediately wanted to get married after graduation, and Edward was being like, "No, we should wait." So I thought maybe they did it at the end of May.
I would have answered, I had better things to do when that movie came out. So,
oh my god!
I did watch the first one just to see what all the hype was about because I do remember the long lapse at the time, and I watched it. And it just wasn't for me. I was just throwing it.
To be honest, that first one had better style than the following 4. Honestly,
I'll take your word for it. I don't plan on watching the other 4 unless I absolutely have to.
No, I mean when you had a young sister and they brought her friend and she brings her friends over to watch Twilight, you had and there was only one TV that was working and it was in your room and you were forced to share a room with 5 girls watching Twilight. You had no choice but to watch it. So
I guess so. I was a single. Well, the first one came out. I was 22, so I was already living on my own in the big city.
I was in community college at the time. Hey, what's up, Taco? I was in community college at that time, so it was like I'm still sharing a room with family.
Yeah.
And so, but even then, in college too, Twilight was a constant discussion topic. So I'm like,
well, it was just that time in general. Like I remember going to the theater and seeing like lines up and down the hallway for it was just like, holy shit.
It came close to being almost rivaling to Star Wars for the fandom that it was attracting.
Yeah. I mean, they still have a convention in Oregon, I believe, for Twilight.
Yeah.
To me, Twilight is a bad Harry Potter ripoff. Anyway.
And we all know 50 Shades of Dark is nothing but a really bad fan fiction of Twilight.
Gray.
Yeah, but beyond missing that, but it's amazing how that 2-point steal really did change where that game was going because Bibbs get that steal, he's ahead, he checks down a couple times on Kevin Hart, which honestly I would because I'm not the biggest fan of Kevin Hart, but even then seeing how Bibbs maintained his lead going in and Jacob answering every question until he like misses his 5-pointer, and I'm just like, man, that was the one time where we could have seen if Bibbs would have gotten a 5-pointer correct. Because so far in his last 2 matches he's played, outside of against the Odd Couple, Bibbs has missed some 5-pointers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it would have been good. And no, like I said earlier, like I wouldn't be surprised if Jacob took this the next time they face each other. Like it down to the wire, it was a good match. And you're right, if it wasn't for that Twilight steal, it would have been a different story.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now let's go into the next match.
Yeah.
So it was the second match of the Ultimate Schmoedown single tournament, and this one was Paige Fabretti of the Usual Suspects versus Jader Paramo of the Den. Well, I had Paige going in because I'm a big Paige fan. She's awesome.
Yeah, Paige definitely won me over.
Sorry, what?
I was gonna say Paige definitely won me over as well.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got to meet Paige before after she got drafted before she started in the league. So she won me over right off the bat. What do you guys think of this match? Like this was a good. I would argue this might have been match of the week.
I agree. You take away the versus match, this definitely is a strong standout for match of the week because of how Jader and Paige. Not only were coming in with their game faces, but they also came in, but their managers also were stepping up too. Exactly.
100%. And that challenge was a true test for Paige because it could have easily thrown her off her game. You could tell it kind of did in the second round, but she made up for it in spades in the third.
Yeah. And there was some Oh, go ahead, Ben. I'm sorry. It's your floor. Go for it.
I was going to say she handled that challenge. No, I can't talk. She handled that challenge like a pro. I didn't pay her for a minute, but she was able to rebuild and win this match. This was a great match. I loved it. Yeah, well,
Yeah,
And just and then there was definitely
after that round, she's like, "Fuck!" It's like,
yeah, and you can tell this match mirrored Bibbs and Blunden too, because Blunden was ahead in his first round. He loses a 2-point steal. Bibbs was ahead. Paige was ahead in her round. She gets a 2. Jader steals 2 points. That changed the lead going into round 2. This literally was like a mirror verse match, honestly.
Way.
Because so many shades here. Paige gets all the way to her 5-pointer, but the difference with Blunden was that she gets her 5-pointer and then went to Jader. Jader missed that 5-pointer to secure her victory.
That was a hard 5. Holy shit.
To be honest, I thought the 5 was the same answer too, because I thought it was the post as well. But then when they said Florence Crawford Jenkins, I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, because I'm sitting there trying, because he with his multiple choices, it gave me time to think about it. I'm trying to go through her category. It's like, okay, what movie involves a newspaper? And Florence Foster Jenkins never crossed my mind. It was always the Post. But
looking back at it, the Post was focused on the Washington Post newspaper, not the New York Post.
Yeah.
So it was just more that said, it's just the more you keep repeating that question and they keep saying the New York Post. And then and if you've seen the Post that Steven Spielberg directed and Meryl Streep was in, then you're like, oh, it makes a lot more sense there. But
Washington Post. Yeah, But no, overall, great. Now let's get to that challenge, because I know Ben messaged me earlier in the day saying he had issues with it. I want to. He had thoughts on it.
I had thoughts of it, and I don't know. I like the challenge. I don't know if I agree with the outcome. Because when you hear that movie, do you always say you don't make it the Zohan? Because
this is where I'm going to fight back against this. When we're talking about it, we probably don't say you don't mess with the Zohan. You say don't mess with the Zohan. But this is an official capacity. You shouldn't be getting away with just. And here's my other thought. I'll let you finish, and then I'll add my other thought to that as well.
Well, I mean, that mainly, and I don't know if I would have granted the challenge. I mean,
okay, why?
Because they have the benefit of the doubt rule there for a reason. Isn't this the perfect example of that?
Well,
I don't think it would. I really don't think it would. Mainly because even though you say don't mess with the Zohan, but if you look at the movie poster, it says you don't mess with the Zohan. And the benefit of the doubt rule only would be there if, let's just say, when it comes to a situation like Thing or The Thing, to where you know what you're referring to. There is no other movie called Don't Mess with the Zohan, or you don't screw with the Zohan. There's nothing different there. I mean, this was the benefit of the doubt rule so far this season has been very controversial on what it has changed. I'm still sour over the Rowdy Piper challenge on the benefit of the doubt rule. But even then, I don't think it would have worked here because, even though Sam, he made a good argument that it has not been, even though something like that has not been forced so far this season, this would not have been the moment to enforce it either. It should have been, maybe seeing these past mistakes, we need to start enforcing it down the road. And then Kate did a great counter as well. I mean, you see Kate really stepping up herself as a manager too. I mean, not saying that she hasn't, but we do see right here when it comes to in the pocket right now, that moment. Yeah.
Right. Now, here's my rebuttal for that. It shouldn't matter if they didn't call it earlier in the year, because that is not up to the announcers. If they say they allow it, they allow it. It's up to the other player and the manager to challenge it. Nobody challenged it earlier in the year. That's why Sam's reasoning should not count based on the rule books we have now. That is up to the other opposing player and the manager, not the judges.
Now, if it may happen to you, will you allow that challenge or not?
Okay, so here's where I would split hairs on this. Okay. In the movie Trivia Schmoedown, yes, I would 100% have awarded Jader the challenge. Now, if it was the three of us just having fun playing trivia, I would have allowed it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Now,
where there's no stakes involved.
there's things at stake here now. Now you do have to sometimes get into that minutia. And like I said earlier, if the other players want to challenge, it's fair game, but they challenged it. You have to do the rules.
I get it. I get it. I guess I agree on this.
And now here's another way of also potentially looking at, like, this is where you're coming from. Like, we've been fans for a long time, so we were around when things like that didn't matter.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it does. So maybe like I don't know about you, but there are some times where it's like I do have a hard time letting go of where the league was as opposed to where it is now. Because in all honesty, that question it would have passed no problem 4 years ago.
True.
It would have. It's true. It would have. But nowadays you can't, with all the strategy and the points up for grabs and stuff. You can't do that. It's like, I'm going to use a hockey analogy. Like, if a play is too close to be offside, okay, so if the team, your opposing team scores, but you think the play is offside, like based on how close it is, you should probably challenge it. And hey, if you get it, you get it. You don't. But I mean, there are some things you just can't leave to fate.
Yeah. I mean, I'll throw in another sports reference here, but when it comes with American football, whenever it comes to the touchdown, I mean, let's say when you see a player, like a receiver, catch the ball, but then he's being chased, he dives but the ball goes past the orange cone, but the player's body's already on the ground and the ref calls it a touchdown. Yeah. You'd want to challenge that, because in American football rules, the moment the player hits the ground, it doesn't matter where the ball has landed. Once the player's knees is on the ground, that's where they have to set for the next yard for the play. But so far, football has been very lenient on it, to where they no longer count to where, as long as when it comes to touchdown speaking purposes alone, as long as the football itself goes past that orange post before the player's knees do, they will count as a touchdown. Yeah. No matter how many times that play is challenged.
But and to be honest, I do agree with Ryan here. I'm starting to come around on the idea that maybe the benefit of the doubt rule doesn't have a place in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't use it or not use it. Like, and that I can have my upset about the challenge. And I'm not even going to say upset, because in the big picture of things, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I mean, both had very, very solid arguments as to their positions. It's just now, unfortunately, it's like we do have a rule book that enforces it, and if happened in other matches, nobody enforced it. That's their problem. That's in the past.
And I will say, Sam coming in at the end, defending it, changed my tune on it, though.
I mean, Sam's great at challenges. I mean,
100%, because he helped write the rule book. He knows the game.
Right. Yeah.
And to be fair, that's a challenge Sam would have made as well.
Yeah. He even said it. And on a side note, I love she got the Judd Apatow category.
Yeah, I know, right?
It took me a second to get why that's funny.
Okay, but, and for the folks at home, explain why it's funny.
Yeah, Sam is like friends with Apatow, right?
Because he started in Apatow's first thing, Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah.
That's why.
Great show, by the way.
Great show. Yes, great show.
Yeah. Thankfully, this challenge didn't ruin the match.
Exactly. It didn't change that match like that Steele did in the Bibbs Blunden match.
Right. I guess I just got a little better to me.
And like it is an understandable thing. It's just sometimes with things like this, you do have to sit down and actually critically think about it. Yeah. Because in the moment, 100% understand where everybody's coming from. But when you really got to think about it now, it's just like, if it got missed in the past matches, that's not the judge's fault. That's the other player and manager for not catching it and challenging.
Exactly. And let's be honest, even then, after a match is done, or we all know this community will get obsessed over a certain question or so as well. And people tend to forget that these matches that we get every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or Monday on your Patreon, they're recorded matches. So you can't really challenge something that's already been recorded weeks ahead, where it was probably brought up after the match recording was over. Now, I'm not saying that everyone in the community should not take this seriously. I'm just saying, don't.
Perspective, folks. Perspective.
Yeah, don't make this as your last stand. Don't say you're going to die on a hill for this sort of challenge or this sort of question. I mean, yes, the benefit of the doubt was very controversial, but it's a new rule being implemented. Right now they're going over the kinks. They're going over the flaws of this. So by the time next season, if it does come back, they will be more on top of the benefit of the doubt rule to where they'll understand like, yeah, we can't challenge you can't challenge on something simple as a name like Roddy Piper or
that's one I would die on. That's one I would die on.
Yes, as wrestling fans, we know you can't be like that. As much as I love Roxy Stryer and I understand she was fighting for a player, that was a stupid challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like when I was 4 and I mistook Roddy McDowell for Rowdy McDowell, that's understandable. Yeah. But that is 2 different names.
Can I just say, by the way, I loved how Holland had Ken give the ruling of the challenge.
Yeah.
He really didn't want any part of it.
Well, I know Harlock,
nope,
Ken and
out of my hand.
They don't take shit.
Right. No. You guys want to talk about this pay-per-view?
I mean, yeah, if you guys are ready to hop into it.
I'm looking forward to this. Let's do this, man.
Yeah, so this was the first non-pay-per-view match in studio. This is what, the 3rd title match between these two?
No, they made a pay-per-view.
The 2nd title match between the two. The first time they fought was during the Ultimate this is the 3rd title match. First time was the Ultimate Schmoedown. Ethan, I believe, he TKO'd Dan Murrow. Where Dan Murrow had to play
the New York show.
Yeah. The 2nd time was New York. 3rd time was last year in August when Irwin had beat Roca. So this is the 4th
time.
3rd title match between the two, 4th time. Yeah.
And when I say pay-per-view, I mean Collision, Spectacular, Free for All. I look at these more, they're just what's the best word? Specials.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, the title match, Dan Murrow versus Ethan Irwin. I couldn't think of a better way to properly start off the return of the studio. Like, of course, we had Collision, but this felt a little differently. And like Ben, when you were watching it, you'd mentioned the same thing. Like, it had a different feel to it, but it felt right.
Yeah, it felt like they were back. I even felt this watching the Collision. Seeing that physical wheel, I got emotional. I can only imagine how they feel. I mean, I'm just a lonely viewer at home watching it. I can only imagine the joy everybody has. They're seeing each other again.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan? What did you think about this?
I honestly, just watching that match between Ethan and Murrow right there, I was just speechless, honestly. I loved it. I loved the show of camaraderie. I loved how I loved seeing the audience there just cheering them on. The interest in seeing Ethan being accompanied by Sam, Paige, and Liz.
Yes, agreed.
And then seeing Dan being accompanied by Whit, Bateman, and was it just those 3? I thought there was an extra one.
Wasn't Barbarian there, or maybe I'm mistaken?
You know what? Someone will bring it up to me. But just seeing them being accompanied. What?
Well, sorry, I forgot you're not on the Finstock exchange. It's been I smoked too much weed, folks. Okay.
That's completely fine. It's completely okay.
Yeah. No, for me, I want to piggyback off what you said, seeing the people come out. It was great to see the new players there. To see Paige walk out with her faction was awesome. It's like, okay, now we're seeing what we should have gotten last year. And it felt right.
And it just shows exactly that why the studio matches are just so great. I mean, as much as people love the digital match, no, I was not there. I will be there.
That set of tapings, right?
I'm going to the 14th. Yeah, I'm going to be there for the 14th. So I couldn't go on the first.
Just don't answer what they are, but just simple yes or no. Do you know what matches are being taped that day?
I believe Christian shared them on Twitter.
I mean, I haven't honestly in the last
Or
month.
maybe on the Facebook group. He probably shared it on the Facebook group. But yeah, I know what matches are going to happen.
Nice. I'm really jealous, to be honest.
I honestly didn't think I was going to be able to go to the 14th, honestly, because of my schedule. And I mean, but then all of a sudden I saw an opening. I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Screw it. I'm not going to wait till December to attend a live show. So I'm going up there to attend a live show. Hopefully I get to talk to some of the of the Schmoedown players. Maybe you can talk to some of the fans that's going to be up there as well. I mean, I look forward to it. I'm going in there with open arms and open mind. I'm bringing 3 sets of masks with me. So I'm excited to go up there.
I have to wait till next year, unfortunately, but I'm right there with you. I'm not going to miss it. The first opportunity I get to go, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, and this works as a good testing ground. So because I've already bought tickets for Spectacular, and I'm going to be rooming with so many people. So going up to LA, this will give me a good feel of being back in the city again.
And
so
in the Schmoedown Cantina as well, right?
No, they're gonna be at the Globe Theater for Spectacular.
No, I'm talking for the 14th.
Oh yes, Scum and Villainy, 100%. They're gonna be there for Scum and Villainy.
Nice.
Right on. Okay, but yeah, we went off a little tangent enough, but
it's okay.
This match, while I don't feel it was as great as their first title match. It certainly was a great match, though. Very much back and forth. We saw the return of the buzzers, which I saw online. Some people didn't like. I actually prefer it in person. The buzzers, it just adds that suspense to it.
Yeah, I did not want to engage with that chat that was saying, "Oh, get rid of the buzzards!" Like, Jesus Christ, people.
Yeah.
But
did you see how off went off on some people?
No, I didn't. What did you say?
They weren't going off on people, but I see Harloff. He's kind of like in the mood of not giving a shit. I see others trying to tell them, like, look, here is the difference of the speed of the fast money and the buzzard rounds, and they bring up so many examples. And then I'm seeing people also double down on not liking buzzards by trying to say, like, oh, would have been Jeopardy or in bar trivia or in the quiz bowl or knowledge bowls like this. Like, guys, they're giving you examples on why how buzzards are used in trivia matches. Just because you like a certain flavor doesn't mean you have to hate another one. And
the fast money worked for the digital matches because you already kind of had the disruption in the flow with all the technical stuff involved.
Exactly.
It would have completely derailed everything if they did it live.
And I've seen live shows at the Schmoedown, not 4 separate live shows at the Schmoedown, to where they don't have a lot of time in these spaces, guys. As much as people love the fast money, they don't have a lot of time being there, and especially the fact that they're recording. So what they're going to do, let's say, for example, we get a Star Wars championship match between, and I'm hyped, and I'm pitching this out here, guys. It's not happening. Let's say we have a live Star Wars match. It's happening between, let's say, Laura Kelly and Thomas Harper. We get to the 4th round where we get fast money. Let's say Laura decides to go first. Thomas has to be escorted from the building to where he needs to be put at a certain point where he can't hear the questions. And then at the same time, they're going to have someone to accompany him to make sure he doesn't hear the questions. During that time, while Thomas is being escorted, you got so much dead time there. And what's going to happen? And then Laura, who's probably, depending on her situation, she's going to have so many nerves and what questions she's going to have to be asked. And I'm pretty sure they're going to have a timer above her and like Christian or Mark next to her to read these questions. Let's just say, and then finally they do that. Theoretically, we have an estimate maybe about 8 to 15 minutes of dead time there before we get 60 seconds of questions for Laura to answer. Then we need to bring Thomas back in. Laura doesn't have to stick outside, but she can't be there. So there's some more dead time. We don't need that.
Now, the only way I would ever see it working with the fast money is if Harloff gets a building to his own that is only for the Schmoedown, and they built a soundproof booth, like 10
exactly.
Yeah.
Only way the fast money would work. Because as what you just said, it just would take too long otherwise.
And I know people are still going to argue and think and come up with other designs and other ways that it can still be done. But if you are new to the Schmoedown and you have been introduced to the matches from the past, you will see the buzzard round there. And if no one did not see from the collision match how the buzzard matches can really change the fortune. Right now with fast money, yes, it's great. But with teams like Shazam, someone like Merle, or someone even like with Demolanta, as we saw against Kelly, someone who is so knowledgeable that you would have to really, and I'm going to take a little bit out here, speaking with Laura Kelly and Demolanta. I spoke about that lot, What was that question I was talking about, Ben, during our recap that I had an issue with? Oh yeah, the Boba Fett question. That question alone during that fast money match, I thought that should not have been there in the speed round because it's kind of it's an engine stall kind of question. It makes you stop in your tracks to really consider. Wait, how many live actions has Boba been in? And then you lose track of that this is a speed round.
Mm-hmm.
So this is done in a live setting, and especially you're going to be in front of people too, who you have to refrain from yelling out an answer. There's so much pressure from being on that moment. I know we're all audience and we're all fans. We want to say this and this, but the moment you are in their shoes, the moment you are there in front of maybe hundreds of people or even a small intimate crowd, you have to tune things out. There's so much your mind is trying to adapt and work through. So I understand your arguments for wanting the fast money, but ultimately, in the end, I'm with Christian on this one. It's not needed for these live shows.
It was only done because it was, necessity at the time.
Yeah, and then the digital match too. And you see how more comfortable they are in digital matches. The players are because they're at home. The only thing they have to worry about is the internet connection.
Yeah. And then, like Taco put it right, it's like really it does swing anything, but more often than not, it just pads the score.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're watching shit like Family Feud to where you think it's impossible. But let's not forget, Family Feud is regular people answering worldwide trivia that maybe 100 to 150 people think is the answer. So even then, the rules there is handicapped. So no matter what examples you bring in, what your counter arguments were, when it comes to this, the movie trivia Schmoedown, it's either you just embrace and move forward, or you stay where you are, and then by the time the game moves forward, you're going to be stuck in the same place you are, still complaining why Boba Fett was in 4 movies when technically A New Hope doesn't count.
And you know what? I'm just going to throw this out there. Do you really think Harloff cares what you think about the fast money or the buzzer? The buzzer's here to stay. Do you really think he cares?
No, he
cares a lot of hearing people. I know he enjoys hearing people, but ultimately at the end of the day, Harloff is focused on this product, and he's got a sponsor with Skybound.
And let's not forget this. There are a lot of things he does take fan
questions,
fan criticism on, and he does use it, but the buzzer round is not one of them, unfortunately. So
it's non-negotiable.
Think about that. It's not going anywhere. Live with it.
Yeah. It's like everybody are like, here's a movie reference. It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Everyone is that swinging swordsman trying to bring in their they're swinging the sword, trying to bring in their arguments. Why they think fast money there? And Christian just Indiana Jones looking at you like, really? Boom! Yeah, you're done. Move forward. We're not trying to talk down to you guys, but we're just saying, don't die on this hill. Because by the time you're still arguing about this, Spectacular is here, and you're going to wonder what happened to the time.
Yeah, we're just trying to put things in perspective for you because we are all lovers of this game, but there are just some things you got to. You know what? I'm going to equate this to something that happens in the real world. It's like when people complain about grocery stores or Walmart putting in the self-serve counters. It's going to happen no matter what you think. But then also on the flip side, if you use an ATM and you're complaining about using the fast food, the self-serve thing, I think you should go outside and get some fresh air because you're an idiot.
Yeah. And people also like to complain about
there are some things that are going to happen no matter what.
Yeah, people like to complain and bitch and complain about DoorDash, Uber, and these restaurant and these delivery systems. But let's be honest, are you really going to be the one to sack up, go to the restaurant, pick up your food? No, you want to stay home in whatever clothes you're wearing and wait for the food to be brought to you. You have that luxury.
Yeah. Now, Ryan, we should probably get down off our soapboxes and we should probably start talking about
because I'm pretty sure we're going to have so many comments going to be like, what are you guys doing? You guys don't do nothing. Well,
are you still in the middle of that national park or are you heading home today?
I don't know.
He's literally he jumped into the Star Wars show outside of a cabin while camping last night. Yeah.
Oh my God. But I would love to hear more about that, but yeah, let's jump off of this and we'll get back to Irwin and Merle, which this was a great match. Yes, you're right. So you were going to bring up this was not at the top tier as say their match last year in August or even in New York.
Yeah, for me, the New York one is the best one in their set.
But I still think this is a great match.
Very nice, Taco. Very nice.
I still think it was a good match. We saw Irwin and Merle really go head to head with each other. Merle, he gets perfect, so he's able to get that 2-point lead. And then we do see things change along in the sure, Irwin, he nails his slice in round 2. Merle does the same, checks down to multiple choice once. But man, that speed round though.
That's
wow.
The one.
That speed round. No, the betting round. The betting round.
Is it better? Yeah, betting then speed round. Yes, that betting
round.
I
meant to say the betting round. I meant to say the betting round. Yeah, okay. That question they got.
All right, you take care, Ryan. We'll see you next week.
Take care, Ryan. Have a good one. Team Ryan's, man.
Yeah. Ryan. All right, yes. Sorry, to continue what you were saying there, Ryan.
I was gonna say that betting round, that question they got. I was thrown off too. I was shocked that both of them missed it.
Me too.
And I love the confidence they put 3 points too, because they realized they can't give each other 1 inch of ground. Even if Ethan did bet safe with 2 points or Merle bet safe with 2 points, it still would have been the same outcome. And sure, even then when we saw that's why I love about these live events and championship matches. No matter how well you're doing, the betting and speed round are always going to be those 2 factors you can never ignore.
100%. And yeah, and that's in the speed round itself. Like Ethan was just a beast on the buzzer. Like you could tell, like watching, you could tell Dan knew it. He was trying to push it, but Ethan just got there just a split second earlier.
And I can understand. And that's one criticism I can understand people with the buzzer round. Like if someone knows it and the buzzer's not responding, I get it, guys. I really get that. It's just more of like you see those 2 are separated by a partition, so they really can't see each other hit that button. It's just more of
this is actually an interesting stat. Merle's first lost at a live event. I didn't realize that.
Wow.
Yeah, actually it is. It is
lost live.
Well, he did lose to Collins, but that was
pre-taped.
Yeah, pre-taped. Yeah, no, you're right. Live event.
Yeah,
nice one, Brian. And Brian, I did see you on Mount Schmoedown yesterday. You, Daniel, and Ben did a great job talking about corruption, man. Definitely appreciate you being on the show.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a fun show. Loved it.
Yeah.
I did for a little bit, then I passed out.
I was at work, so I was only able to watch in increments whenever my phone was not buffering.
Oh, ouch.
That's some stuff.
Yeah. So going into the 5th round, then, like, what were your guys' thoughts?
I was really I was at ends here. All I knew was that all it would take is one question. Either Ethan slipped and Merle would regain the lead, or Merle slipped and Ethan won. But I love the fact that because these 2 are so good at what they do, that's why round 5 felt the tensest, honestly. I loved it. Merle gets his 2, his 3, and his 5. Ethan does the same thing, but I love the fact that it gets pushed to Ethan. So it all went down to that little tense moment to where Ethan get it. And then when he gets that question, then Ethan goes to Dan. He congratulates him. I'm thinking, oh my God, does he not know it? But then he says, I think the bell will be here in California. And then he answers that. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ethan would never have done that, 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
No.
You know what that kind of reminds me of?
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of Smith versus Hector.
It really did. Yes. And you know what? These are 2. I think their series of matches. I think will actually go down as one of the greatest series in all time because of the stakes that were involved in all their matches.
Honestly, it's eclipsing Merle and Roca's rivalry. Honestly, because and these are 2 different times. Honestly, there's 2 different times. But even then, no, actually, Merle, Roca, and Riley, those 3 at the time, the top of their game. I still love that triple threat between the 3 of them to where,
one of the best triple threats we've ever had.
Yeah, all it went down to was that and just like in this match, it fell down to the speed round and the betting round that changed the focus. Like if Riley was more on top of the speed round, he'd probably still be champion, or he would have been second, or Roca would have been the first one to be eliminated.
Okay. Here's a question for you guys. If it is fast money, do we have the same winner?
No. No.
Maybe, honestly. I'd say maybe because, look, Dan, even though he's 100% focused all the time, we have seen in his team matches with Danger Zone, and we did see in one of his other singles matches against Collins, there are he does have gaps. And I know, and once again, the question writers, not just including PJ, but the question writing team, They don't want to try to throw out hard questions to trip up people, but they throw out hard questions because they want to step things up. And because this was a championship match, the question in that betting round did step things up. 100%.
And this is why I say this series of matches, they're going to see each other again, is going to go down some of the greatest, because out of the 4 matches, 3 title matches, 1 tournament match.
Yeah,
that's some damn high stakes. Which, you know what, the Roker rivalry never had. The Riley matches never really had. Like, this is going to be one of the best. Ryan, you still there?
Ryan, hello?
Hello. You know what?
Hello? I'm still here. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Wow. Now it's doing this to me. Come on.
At the end of our show, really? I'm going to answer this, Taco. For me, to be honest, I'm going to say it is the John Cena-Randy Orton rivalry with a lot less matches. Because there was a time where they were facing each other all the time and people were getting tired of seeing them always wrestle. But it kind of is where they've come to at this point. They're always going to be linked together.
That's a good question.
I know.
No. Look, I will just drop my best reference to what the wrestling equivalent would be. I think the wrestling equivalent would be, even though they didn't have a series of matches a lot in WWE, but I would say Savage and Ricky Steamboat. Savage and Ricky Steamboat.
Actually, I'm gonna take back my John Cena and Randy Orton one. Actually, I'm gonna say it's closer to the Rock Austin. Not in terms of like stature, because but in terms of they had 4 pay-per-view matches. No, they had 3
WrestleManias with each other. Yeah, 3 WrestleManias with each other.
One was Austin's retirement. You had an IC title match in December of '97 on pay-per-view, and you also had the rematch after WrestleMania 15 at Backlash. All 4 titles, so that's why I'm going to use that comparison instead.
That is
like, I think like they're the two absolute best. Like, Ethan's up there and what have you, but in terms of like what the matches mean and how it'll fall in history.
Yeah, when you look at the championship statue, that's a good one. I chose Steamboat and Savage because of the technical aspect of those guys. The knowledge they have, how strategic and technical they were with it, it was a marvelous. I would almost say maybe it kind of rivals a little bit like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels in a way, because they showed all of that stuff in showmanship and professionalism and with the movie knowledge and how they were able to pull that off.
It's just, I know these two will end up still liking each other later on down the line. Yeah.
But one thing I
do under the Giant, except he never had a real rival because he barely lost.
Yeah. Well, I do want to take one thing out, and I do remember during the show when the match was over, they did talk about in the post interview that Merle would have an opportunity in the tournament, but then afterwards, Christian posted that Merle and anyone else coming down the road will not be in the singles tournament, because I think, like he said, Merle, Irwin, and Marisol will not be in the tournament. So it's very interesting. I know with Marisol and Irwin happening next month.
Yes.
And he did say that he was going to do another championship defense after Irwin and Marisol. So that it's going to be.
Okay.
So he's definitely not going to hold it off till Spectacular. Wait, no, I think he should.
I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I think Christian might jumble his words. Sometimes I don't know.
Well, I mean, if there's a heavy stack of competitors, obviously, so many in the faction. So those who doesn't make the tournament, I do see that Christian might get some of these opportunities to play for the championship. Mm-hmm. So I get what he's going at. I mean, right now he just took away the big names that's not going to be in there, which is Merle.
I mean, to bring it back to wrestling, like. You have one. Occasionally, they've done 2 pay-per-views between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. We all know the winner of the Rumble faces the champion at WrestleMania. You got to do something in between.
Yeah, without doubt.
Okay, so
let the champion go undefended for 30 days, even though WWE does that. But even then, you can't do that.
WWE's reasoning for some of that sometimes just drives me bonkers. Like, you're going to give you. Dolph Ziggler gets injured during his only title run. You take the title, you don't give it back to him because he's accident prone. Meanwhile, Dave Bautista had to forfeit the title twice because of injury for a year and he still got more title wins after that.
And then Daniel Bryan, after WrestleMania 30, he ends up getting hurt after. Then 1 month after he gets hurt in a match, they take the belt from him.
And then
with guys like Randy Orton, Triple H, or even the heels in a sense, they get hurt. They continue to hold the belt past 30 days. WWE is kind of like the most emotionally and sometimes physically abusive relationship I've ever been in. And sometimes I want to get out.
Right now, Ryan.
Yeah. Woo. At this point, I'm this close to just walking out of the door of WWE. And with this, the only thing that's been keeping me there is NXT and Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch. And right now, I don't think those three are enough.
We're gonna have to save this for my wrestling show because I think we're gonna have a fun time.
You know what? I was gonna wait till after the tapings, but hell, next time you're doing this, reach out to me. I want to be on the Squared Slice.
You got it. We're doing the invasion angle next, and we'll talk to see what's coming up down the pike. Yeah, I've got.
I would love to be in the invasion store talk.
We'll talk afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's bring it back. So, is there any other thoughts about the title match? That you guys
Ben, I know we've been taking a lot of time.
Schmoedown again? I wasn't sure.
We're talking about that birth.
Erwin Merle. We're back on Erwin Merle, Ben. Okay. Your thoughts, the floor is yours. Stoda and I are done with the wrestling.
For now. All that went completely over my head. I had no idea.
I'm sure you knew who Austin, The Rock, and Cena were.
I recognize those people, but come on, I have no knowledge of that stuff.
I mean, we did say Dave Bautista, and he's a movie star now, so that's at least one little nugget.
Okay.
And you know what? I'm just gonna put this out there just to put a caveat onto that. Like, I mean, what we said, I don't hate anybody of those guys. I just hate the fact that WWE, it's like to give the benefit of the doubt to some people and not to the other people. That's really the only.
Really? When did we hear that before?
I know, right? I know. But
to pivot back to the Merle Irwin match. With Adam Witt, once again, being in the stead place of Kaiser. Okay, I'm going back to the chat. I'm going back to the match. Outside of Irwin and Merle playing great, Sam and Witt being the managerial support for them was fantastic. Sam didn't really have to do much there because Irwin had it nailed down. Witt, I did like the fact that once again he is stepping up. I don't care what people in the live chat were saying. Oh, he's 0-3 in managing people. This should have your record of managers. Okay, if that's true, Roxy Stryer would have the most worst record so far this year. And I love Roxy Stryer. So calm your live chat. Calm your kids together.
Calm down, mama.
Go ahead, Ben. You go ahead before I lose my shit. Go ahead.
Oh God!
That's Ben when we start talking wrestling.
Yes.
No shit.
And to that I respond with,
"It doesn't matter what you think."
That was still there. I had to. All right, Ben, seriously, your thoughts.
Can I talk now?
Yes.
I'm muting myself, so the floor is yours.
Now nowhere near my mouse. I'll do this.
No, you don't have to do that. Come back. I forget what I mean. Yeah, it was a great match. I forget. Who's the captain of the dungeon? Do they have one?
I think it's Bateman.
That makes sense.
I think if there's anybody watching, where's Leo Logan when you need him?
Honestly, I do think it is Bateman because Bateman has the mind to step up more. Dan has resigned himself to being simply just a play. Yeah. And Bateman is the only one there who's wanting, especially on backstage. I'm pretty sure he said a couple of times he's had study sessions. He's had strategy meetings with the dungeon or these players in the dungeon. So, thought all logical.
I really going to say maybe make Captain Matt. No, I love when Rick steps in as manager like that. It really works well. And he gets the game. Even though his record doesn't show it, he gets the game, he has fun with the game, and he's just there to help out. And I wish he would do more of it. I wish.
You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Sam. Just without the winning record.
Do you think if Witt had another faction next year, would he go to the Suspects?
If Sam doesn't retain him?
I don't think he'll leave I honestly think Kaiser's going to keep him in the dungeon because he's actually incredibly valuable behind the scenes to the team.
Okay.
And so far, it's like Kaiser is the one manager that Ben is willing to work with. I personally know 100%. Him and Roxy, that's not fucking happening. Maybe he could gel with Kate. I don't think he's ever going back to Finstock. And him and Winston, that would be an odd pairing.
I think Winston is sticking with Kaiser. I don't know about Dan. I could see Dan going somewhere.
Well, if Dan is not retained by Kaiser at the end of the year, and Dan,
I think
I'm just saying, let's just say during the free agency, after the Spectacular is over, and during the free agency period where the managers have to retain, if Dan openly says, "I don't want to be retained, I want to see who drafts me," no doubt in my mind, who's ever the first faction to draft, you'd be almost insane not to want to get Dan Murrell on your team.
But that's
me. That's me. But that's
Dan's
me.
going to get signed. He's not going to the draft.
I know, but I'm just saying, what if Dan goes, what if Dan just wants to say, fuck this, I'm going in the draft? What if he just says that?
And next year, you do have to make room for Smets.
Could you imagine Sam picking up Dan? I think that's a lethal combination.
If he's last place, though, if the Suspects are in last place.
There won't be a draft next year?
What are you talking about, Taco?
Sorry, type in the chat. What is it just about you're interpreting things, or
the Christian announced there's no draft?
I don't know.
Is he going back? Is he breaking apart the faction system and he's going back to just regular players again? Because that's
no. But I'd heard like he was bantering about like paring down the number of factions.
There's going to be something different. I don't know what exactly it is. Maybe less people on the faction. I don't know. But yeah, maybe.
Okay, so do we want to preview them now that we know who Marisol is going to be facing? Do we want to at least talk about that match a little bit, or wait till it's closer to when it airs?
I mean, it's already locked down, obviously.
Yeah,
we've already locked down.
When is that match?
It's in a month. It's according to the wiki, which thank you, Logan, is on September 17th is when the match will air.
Let's talk about it. It's Marisol versus Ethan, right?
I'm going with Ethan for the experience factor. That's probably going to be a live match, which Marisol has never done. I think it's Ethan. But you know what? If Marisol takes it, wouldn't be shocked either. But I think it's Ethan's to lose.
Marisol versus Ethan, or is it Marisol versus the winner of the tournament?
No, it's
No. Marisol won that mini little setup back in March when Jay Washington had set up a little a road to the title. Marisol had beaten Janine, and she beat Kevin Smith. No, Marisol beat Video Drew, then Janine, then Kevin Smith to become number one contender.
Yeah.
Okay.
And to state, and before anyone in the chat says, she is to date the first woman to challenge for the belt since Clark Wolf. So
yeah.
You know what? I'll say it. I think Marisol. is on a fire. Right now. She's hungry. She has something to prove. I think she's going to win.
Okay, if what Taco just posted is true, this is one of the moments where it makes me want to hate Harloff. These are the moments that makes me want to hate him. Like, he's becoming, man, stop getting in your own head.
Okay, Ryan, who do you think is going to take that title match?
Okay, I'm split in two separate ways. Three ways, honestly. One, I want Ethan to retain because he's a great player. What he just did in that speed round, I think, is going to give him the absolute edge against Marisol. Mm-hmm. At the same time, would love to see a woman finally become a singles champion to really solidify women as dominant players in the Schmoedown. But I fucking hate corruption. So
Okay, we must have missed it then.
I don't follow backstage because of this crap. Like I was saying, I fucking hate corruption. So I don't want, and I'm saying character-wise, wrestling term-wise, as a faction, I can't stand corruption, and I can't stand Shannon as a manager. Kayfabe, guys, kayfabe here. Shannon is pretty much like Stephanie McMahon to me. I don't like her when I see her on screen, but outside of her character.
Ryan, I think I can help you out here. You like Shannon, but you don't like the Queen.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I understand that. This is just, but Ben, what Ben just did, this is to simplify to everyone out there that Ben is pretty much simplifying what I'm saying. I like Shannon. I don't like the Queen. She reminds me of Stephanie and Charlotte rolled into one character to where I'm like, get the hell off the screen. If Marisol was not with Shannon, I'd root for her. But because she is, I'm going with Erwin.
You know, sorry, I did want to say something real quick. My dream scenario, I don't know. When is the winner of the tournament play? October?
Well, the tournament is still going right now. I'm pretty sure whoever wins the tournament is going to play a spectacular.
Yeah, because that's what the Ultimate Schmoedown is. The winner of that goes to the spectacular for the title match.
Yeah.
I want to see Marisol versus Paige in that spectacular match.
Oh, dude, that would be awesome.
Go all the way the damn straight. That would be a fantastic match.
And that would be, and I think that has a possibility of happening.
Truth is, right now,
Paige takes the tournament. I want to see that.
I want to see Paige take it. Right now, with the players that we've seen, right now the biggest obstacle I see is Josh.
Horowitz.
Josh Horowitz. He is right now. He is standing to be one of the bigger obstacles in the way.
But Paige is on the path right now.
I'm not saying I don't want Paige to win. I'm just saying, looking at Josh's
path. I know. Saying she has momentum. She has momentum right now.
And Paige has shown she is studying her ass off. Despite that challenge, Paige would have dominated that judge appetite slice. And we do know that Paige definitely tuning up. She can go perfect in round one.
100%.
Yeah.
All right. So that's been an extended episode of the show today. Thank you for joining us for Wrestling Night in Canada.
Yeah.
Or as Ben likes to call it, which I found out was an improv on Sheldon's thing. That was
Yeah. This is one of the things. Look, with Big Bang Theory, I don't like the show on how it tries to critique nerd culture, but I love the actors that are in there because 100%. They do great performances.
100%. All right, so Ryan, where can everybody find you?
Well, if I'm once again not on my soapbox a la Malcolm X, you guys can find me here. Well, next week, this upcoming Saturday for the next Mount Schmoedown, I will not be on the show because I will be at Scum and Villainy for the tapings. So if any of you have watched the show and you don't like my rantings, then you can come to my face and tell it to me, and I will accept it, and then I will fire back at you in a more healthy, discussion way, like Malcolm X would. And
before telling you to go fuck yourself. No, I'm kidding.
I would get kicked out of the villainy. I would just say, you have your opinion. I have mine. Don't yuck my yum. I won't yuck yours.
Yeah, no, of course.
Don't be Algae Rhythm, guys. Be LeBron James.
Ooh, I love that movie, for the record.
Same here. I watched it again, and I don't get the criticism for it. I enjoyed the film, but this isn't movie criticism night in Canada. Okay, but other than that, once those tapings are done, you guys can once again find me back on Mount Schmoedown as myself and Ben are continuing, and our co-host John continue to talk about factions in the Schmoedown. And also, because I'll be in LA, I will not also be here for Schmoedown Night in Canada as well, so I will be unavailable for that weekend. But other than that, here on Schmoes the North, also on my friend, current FCL competitor, Sinister James Shimo, on his YouTube channel, Shimanare Productions, where we do live watch-alongs and also breakdowns of some of the more current content out there. We just did a watch along of Loki. We've done one on Falcon and Soldier and WandaVision. We're gonna finish up our arc on watching The Bad Batch. So once we get a date together, we're gonna wrap up that season and give our total 100% opinions on it. I've been blabbering a little too long, so that's it.
All right, and Ben, what about you?
You can find me at my Twitter at Ben_Rainer. Right here every Thursday on Shooting the Breeze, every Friday on Recapping the Past, every Saturday on Get Ready and Map Schmoedown. I think that's everything, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. And then as for me, you could find me on my personal Instagram and Twitter at soda_the_saxman. As well as on every show pretty much Ben has mentioned. You also find me producing Let's Talk About Star Wars last night. I actually was on screen last night because Taco, who was in the chat, was on vacation. So I joined him as well as Zach Burkett and Gold Leader. And we just discussed why we actually just love Star Wars. It was just a fun discussion about the things we love. So yeah, check that out. It was a great episode. And next week, we will have the return of Star Wars Alien or Not game, and it's going to be a fun event. Taco's playing this time, and we're probably going to have a couple special Schmoedown guests, so tune in for that. So on behalf of myself, Ryan, and Ben, thank you very much for watching the show, and we will see you next time on Schmoedown 90 Canada.